Welcome. Let's begin this evening with a meditation. I'm going to meditate to two songs. And during this time, I'd like for you to meditate on your heart, right here. Just take your finger if you don't want to. My heart. There it is. Just keep your energy right there. Keep every focus right here for both songs. Okay? Take a breath. Part of my practice for the last few months, if you've been following my practice for the last few months, has to do with the dissolution of the self. And it comes from a place of nothingness. It's right here. And whatever you take to that place, the demons from hell, poltergeists, no matter what it is, even Trump, or Nancy Pelosi, whichever side you're on, you put them here, and they dissolve because there's nothing for them to stick to. It is a gateway or a portal into the divine essence of Brahma, or the Nahwal, or Samadhi, the void. So many names. But no name that we give it is what it is, because it has no name. It has no feeling. It has no light. It has no energy. It is neither good nor bad, hot or cold, light or dark. It is a void. And when you put things there, they dissolve, because there's no points of reference. They just have nothing to stick to. And they go back into their divine essence from which everything comes. And then my next instruction was that space where that anger or fear or loathing or whatever it was, that you breathe down the divine love into that space and fill it with the divine love. And then you stop your thought. And I've come to realize, much to my surprise, that many of you don't know anything about divine love. You have a really limited view of love altogether. So this evening I want to talk about love. I want to talk about the divine love. Love as we know it is usually in the lower heart. Anything that's below the center heart down is into multiplicity. And down here, when you have love down here, then it becomes conditional. I will love you as long as you don't beat me or make me do bad things. As long as you don't betray me, I will love you until that happens, and then I'll cut my love off. It's very conditional. This kind of love is also extremely painful, because it's needy and it holds on and it's grasping all the time. I need you to complete me. I need you to make me feel good. And there's nobody down here in the world of duality that can do that for very long. They have their own problems. So we go through life and we associate love as this conditional thing, and also a very painful thing. When I was in a meditation in Newport Beach 28 years ago, and I told them, I said, open up your heart. And the lady at the back of the room got really upset. She said, I'm not opening my heart to anybody. And she left. This is what I'm talking about. When we talk about love, we've been hurt. So it's not easy to open up. And I'm not suggesting that you open up your heart down here that much. Be very careful. Your heart down here is like a little baby, and there's a flu season going on. So you're walking down the street, you wrap the baby up in the blanket so that it's protected. And when some guy comes up, let me see your little baby. You don't, oh no, you can't see my baby. We protect it. When somebody comes up with a nice, they're healthy, they're loving, then you let them see the baby. So we do that with our heart. We're always opening it and closing it down. And that's necessary when you're in the world. But there's a yoga called Bhakti. And Bhakti Yoga is the love yoga. It is the yoga of love. If you've ever been with Amaji, you know what I'm talking about. When we take this conditional love that's down here in duality and we move it up to the higher heart, it becomes bhakti. It becomes the yoga of love. Yoga means union. It means oneness. So if you're having yoga of bhakti or bhakti yoga, you are actually dissolving yourself and becoming one with love. And it's very difficult for us to love without some sort of an object because we're not programmed that way. So in the beginning, people will pick a high object, an enlightened teacher. They may focus on Christ, or they might focus on Rama, or Ramakrishna, or Yogananda, or Sai Baba. There's all of these incredible enlightened beings. And they focus on those beings and they tune into the love that they have for that being. And it brings them up because it's safe. But in that, it's still duality. That kind of love takes you very high because these beings are very high. They're very refined and they're part of you. If you get into yoga enough, you see the union of everything. But in the initial, you focus on a teacher or a spiritual being or God, whatever you think God is, which it isn't, but that's what you think it is. Anyway, I'll get to that later. But you focus on something high, something away from the world, and you just move yourself into that place. But that will not take you all the way into bhakti. It takes you right up to it. You feel it, but you're not absorbed by it. But if you can keep your will and your intention high enough and actually move into the divine beyond all of the angels and ascended masters and illumined masters and enlightened beings and beyond all of those things, and you move even higher beyond everything, you move into unconditional love. And unconditional love means that it's just love. It's pure. And when we as sentient beings come in contact with it, we many times will feel very ashamed of ourselves because our love compared to that love is so messy. But you'll find if you look closely during those moments that it's you that's feeling guilty and shameful. It's not coming from that love. That love does not put guilt or shame on you. You do it yourself. And as Emerson said, I think it was Emerson, I think so, when you get your bloated nothingness out of the way, then the divine circuits can flow freely through you. So when we get our bloated nothingness about what love is and how it has to be an object outside of us or something above us or whatever, when we get that nothingness out of the way and we just cut right through it, just pow. Then when you pull that energy and you fill that void that's left from you dissolving all of these angers and fears and being a victim and having people torture you or whatever. And you let that love come through you, a surprising thing happens. You find yourself having compassion for those who have hurt you. Because you recognize in that moment that they've never touched divine love. They don't know what divine love is. And they're acting out of ignorance. And that ignorance is causing suffering. Suffering for them and suffering for everyone they know. Everyone they come in contact, they suffer. So now you look at your enemies or those that have spitefully used you, and you see them differently. Now this only lasts for a little while because you're down here and pretty soon people come around and they start putting stuff on you like, oh, you remember what Uncle Fred did to you when you were 3 or whatever, and you go, oh, then you have to keep doing it. But I'm suggesting if you keep dissolving everything and filling it with this divine love, the natural outcome of that is that you will have compassion. You will let go of your aggression and you will become more gentle with yourself and with others. And then you'll do the unthinkable. You'll forgive them. You forgive the person that you thought you would never in a million years be able to think anything good about. It frees you up, because if you hang on to those angers and that being a victim or whatever, if you hang on to that, then it's like you've attached yourself to this coat that has nails coming in, and you're just wrapping yourself and you're pulling that coat in and it's sticking you, but you're not going to let it go because they did it to you. And who's suffering? I'm suggesting that you have to take the coat off and fill that whole space with love. And here's why. There is only one power. There are not two. There's just one. One of the contemplation things you could do is to accept the fact that your divine nature is omniscient, omnipresent, omnipotent, and what's the other one? Omnipresent. Yeah. Just focus on that. When I was 5 years old in Sunday school, the teacher told us that God was everywhere present, all-powerful, all-knowing. And she talked about the hand of God, and I said, well, if there's a hand of God and God is everywhere present, where's the end of his finger? And I thought they were going to cast demons out of me because I asked such a question. But think about it, there's only one. And if you are hating somebody, if you can't love, then you're hating God. And there's karma for that. Jesus taught it. They all teach it. So what is love? Is love that emotion? Is it that feeling of euphoria or infatuation that you have when you're chemically attaching to somebody and emotionally getting charged up? I love that. We're consumed with that kind of love, but as I said before, that love is conditional. It doesn't So as we contemplate what love is, I'm going to make an assertion that love is when everything is in perfect harmony. Pick up a little puppy, you're holding the puppy in your hand, you smell the puppy's little breath, then he's wiggling its tail. And you just feel this love. There's a connection of harmony between you and that little puppy, or a little kitten, either one. We can feel love in flowers. Oh my gosh, look at these flowers. Oh, I love those flowers. I can smell them. There's a harmony here. It's not an attachment. I'm not expecting the flower or the puppy or the kitten to betray me. It's just a moment. Can you have that connection with the divine? Recognizing that in the Bhakti of Yoga, it's all about oneness. Remember, yoga is one. It's union. It's the union of all things. And all things being together manifested as love. Not this conditional, syrupy, emotional love that we're so used to, but more of the love you have for a flower or a sunset. There's just a sense of peace that comes with it. There's also a sense of joy when you have that love, because there's nothing not to be happy about. This does not excuse in any way or what other people. People are going to do what they do. People are acting out of their ignorance. They're acting out of their pain. I understand that. But as a spiritual aspirant, we have to move the next step up. We have to start having love. So this evening, to help you with your practice of the dissolution of the self, which is what I'm teaching, I don't want you to walk around like a zombie. I don't want you to walk around with no feelings. You should be full of feelings. Love is necessary. Without love, there's no poetry, there's no music, there's no sense of beauty. With it, life is exquisite, magical. I live a magical life. I have systematically, over the last 45, 50 years since I've been meditating, put everything on the altar and burned it up. All of my feelings, all of my expectations, everything, just kept burning it up. Because I didn't want anything between me and the divine. And when the divine came through, and it always does if you really open up to it, if the eye is single, the body is full of light. When you focus on divine love and you reach, and it starts, first of all, you might begin your practice with thinking about someone that you love dearly. It could be your mother or father, or whatever, or brother, or your kitten or whatever. You think of somebody that you love. And then you move it up a notch and you think about a spiritual teacher that you love. They want nothing from you. They just want to show you the divine, so you can trust them. But you think about, I don't know, like I said, you think about Sai Baba or Ramakrishna or Yogananda, Christ. And you focus on that, and as you focus on these enlightened beings, you start feeling their divine love. But to move into the yoga of bhakti, you thank them for taking you there, and then you have to move past everything. You have to move past the enlightened teachers. Once you do that, you have touched something that resonates with the entire universe. Everything is made out of that. And what happens is that divine love falls down into us as individuals, and when it gets to our mid-heart, it splits into duality. Down here, there's me and you. There's up, there's down. There's in, there's out. There's good, there's bad. There's evil. There's all kinds of things down here. We split that divine love up, and it becomes, it kind of coils in on itself and wraps around and ties itself in knots. And life becomes an interesting experience. And people who are so caught up in it, depending on how low they go into this, their lives become increasingly angry, they're increasingly full of pain, mistrust. My gosh, look what they're doing. They're hurting themselves, they're hurting others. They have no sense of hope. They have just a few things. Hungry ghost, seeking something that will make them feel better, and it does. They buy the new car, it makes them feel better for 3 months. Then the newness wears away. They get married. After a short while, the honeymoon is over. Everything down here does not fulfill. Everything down here is transitory. Everything changes all the time. Nothing is static. I watch people try to build walls to keep things the same. You know, they're building a wall between them and somebody else that they don't like, or them in a situation. They build walls. We build a wall called a political party, or a religious organization, or, you know, gosh, it goes on and on. Bowling league. We build walls where we have our group against them. We're good, they're bad. What a hell world that is. It's a real hell world. There's no hope, just anger and fear, a lot of fear. But when I tune into the divine love, fear and anger and the walls all start to melt. They don't give up their territory easy. I will say that. This is not a real easy path. But it is a necessary path if you want to gain enlightenment in this lifetime. To be enlightened. To be truly free. My teacher said enlightenment was easy. You just had to want it more than anything. Well, this thing down here is full of things. So I'm suggesting in my little path of the high heart, which I believe to be the answer to all the world's problems, why not, that we can dissolve these things back into its basic true nature. And what its basic true nature is love. But it's such a powerful, unconditional love that all the hatred and all of the anger and outrage, when it goes to that place, it just has no power. It's dissolved. And in its place, you can now place love. And you just keep doing that to yourself over and over and over again. You sit in your meditation, you're sitting there, and then the picture of the children being separated from their parents. And you get, and okay, pull it up here, pull it up. Dissolving my anxiety. In its place, I am seeing perfect divine love. And when that perfect divine love starts to manifest inside of me concerning that situation, then I know that there's one place maybe in the universe where all of those children and all of those parents, if a part of them touches me, they're touching divine love. If they're touching you, they're touching divine love. And for that little moment in their life, they are brought a little bit more out of the darkness that they're swimming in. All of the emotional terror and hell worlds that they're going through. You have an answer. You see love. When we're up here, there is no action other than to love. But when that energy comes down and we fill the space, then sometimes you see that there's something you need to do, maybe to alleviate suffering. We try to alleviate ignorance and suffering. But you can't alleviate ignorance and suffering until you get rid of your own ignorance and suffering. And everybody has it. Everybody has anger. Everybody has fear. We don't trust. Why should we? Every time we've done it, it's not been happy. So to see, weird-looking dude sitting amongst a bunch of flowers and the tonka and everything, telling you got to love doesn't probably mean a whole lot to you. But I'm suggesting that you don't continue the way you're going because it's taking you deeper, deeper into the world. We have to remove that little mote, the beam, actually, the tubophore from our own eye before we can get the little, eyelash out of somebody else's. So the first thing is to dissolve ourselves, to dissolve all of these selves down here and bring them into alignment with the oneness of God. So that in that oneness of the divine, you're walking through the world, but you are not of it. You are a light in a dark place. You are calm in the midst of the storm. You are what the world is looking for. Each one of you is that. You have that ability. You have that chance in this life. I know that for a fact, or you wouldn't be sitting with me. Other people aren't, but you are. So I'm telling you, you got it in you to be enlightened in this lifetime. How cool is that? You just have to give up yourself. You don't do it all at once. You do it a little bit at a time. Just a little bit at a time. You bring your concerns, you bring them up here, we could call it put it on the altar, Put it up on the altar and let the divine burn it up. What about my car payment? Put it up there, burn it up. When I let go of my fear and my anxiety concerning maybe a car payment, for instance, then I have cleared the way for a clear seeing into which path I should go. What is the best path that I should take when it comes to dealing with these problems or situations? So we meditate. We meditate every day, in the morning and in the evening, and sometimes during the day. And your meditation is a simple meditation. You focus on your high heart, right here, and you let things dissolve. And let's say in your meditation you have a thought of, I've got to take care of someone's animals. I need to feed them certain foods. I've got all these thoughts come up. You take those thoughts, you take them, and you move them right up here. And you just fill it full of love, divine love. Fill that space with love. You take no action in the world while you're meditating. You don't stop your meditation and write things down. You do your meditation, you dissolve everything. So you, okay, I'll dissolve my concern over the animals. Okay. Oh, my boss is giving me a hard time. Okay, let's grab him, pull him up here. Dissolve him into love. And then fill that space with love. Stop your thought. Oh boy, the traffic is noisy. Okay, take all the traffic. Whatever comes up to you in meditation, pull it up here. Let it dissolve into love. And fill that space with love. Someone's giving you a hard time. Maybe they bullied you all during high school, and then they took away your girlfriends or boyfriends, and now they're your boss. And you can't get rid of this demon of a guy or gal. So you just take them and keep putting them up here, dissolving them into love, coming back down and say, oh, there's still some residual anger there, so pull it up. The other day, I worked for 25 minutes on someone who I had a problem with. 25 minutes of constantly going down and seeing, is there anything left? Is there any part of me that still has an issue here? And if it would, I'll pull it up here and dissolved it. Now this person didn't change. It wasn't for them, this was for me. I have no problem with them now. Not one bit of a problem. They may have a problem with me, but that's not my problem. I'll repeat that because it's kind of cute. They may have a problem with me, but it's not my problem. I have dissolved it. Now you do this every day, and I invite you to try this for at least a couple of weeks. I'm not asking you to a real long commitment here, but I want you to try this for a couple of weeks in your meditation, 20 minutes or 40 minutes in the morning, whatever you're comfortable with. And you sit, and you focus right here in the very high heart. Actually, it's halfway between your heart and your throat, right there. That's where it's the place of nothing. You won't feel anything, you won't see any lights or anything, but what you will find when you focus there is that things dissolve. And then it's easy to pull, and as I said, that divine love, that kind of love you have for these flowers here, these beautiful flowers. They don't ask for anything, they just sit there in their beauty, they feel so wonderful, they smell so good, they're transitory. Oh my gosh, what a gift. So then I take that kind of love, after everything is dissolved, I take that kind of love and I fill the space. And then I feel other stuff. And I'll grab it, pull it up. And then, for those of you that really practice this a little bit, you'll find that you have one spot here where you don't want to do it anymore. You want to stop the process. And that process is your ego. Your ego does not want to do this because this is causing changes in your life. This is causing changes in how you view your life. And the ego doesn't like that. It wants things kind of organized. And now you're dissolving parts of the way that you have defined yourself. You defined yourself through your pain. You defined yourself through your losses. You defined yourself through all of the angers and fear. A lot of fear. And so when you start getting rid of these things, just dissolving them and replacing them with the divine, Your ego doesn't want to do it. So you run into a spot where you won't want to go up there. And so, well, let's just take it to here. Let's not take it all the way up there. Or it won't want to do it at all. So when you find that happening, you grab that ego. You just grab it. It's easy. It's all done with intention and will. And you pull that ego right up here until it dissolves. And you fill that space with love. And you just keep doing it until your body is clear and clean. And you make sure, once it's swept out and everything's in order, that you fill it with divine love. If you don't fill it with divine love, then the forces around you will come in and start dirtying up your house again. You know, your boss will be extremely bad the next week or whatever, and it will affect you. But if you fill it completely with divine love, the boss comes in and gives you a hard time, it doesn't affect you. Makes them angry, but doesn't affect you. It takes practice. Lots of practice. But what else you got to do? I can assure you that nothing down here in the samsara, nothing in the samsara is going to bring you any kind of lasting fulfillment. I take my little dog for a walk around the block. It's magic. Wow. Look up at the trees and I see the wind blowing. I see the leaves shimmering in the wind and the sunshine. I hear the birds chirping. See a little puffy cloud and a blue sky. Look down at my little friend as he sniffs, goes about trying to sniff here and look there and go here and do there, just like my mind does sometimes. Then my eye falls upon a little dandelion growing up through this crack in the sidewalk. My goodness, life coming up in a place that it's going to be stepped on and stepped on and stepped on, but still it's reaching for the sun, reaching down into the earth. How magic is that? And then someone walks by. Oh my goodness, look at there. There's God. There's the divine walking by me, asleep. Feature that, they're asleep. So I smile, recognizing that I love them. Not in a human way, but I just love. They're God, what's not to love? And I say, hi, how's your day? And they may walk on by or flip me off. It doesn't matter what they do. I love them. I love everything. I love nothing. So I want to take you with me on this little journey into my world, okay? And this requires for you to do something a little, let's see, adventurous is a word. Something out of your comfort zone. I want you during this meditation to open your heart. And I want you not focus it on anyone or anything, but I want you to kind of you might focus on me because my focus is going to be completely on the divine. So you can kind of ride the wave of what I'm doing, and I'll take you there if you want me to take you there. It's a place of, anyway. So we'll do a couple of songs here. Let's see here. I think. this next song, try to push beyond a little further into that than you've ever gone before. Just use your will and your intention. Good. Just relax. Take a breath. Fill your being, fill all of your being with the divine. Good. So, take another breath, then open your eyes if they're closed. Just be present here. Good. The next time I come into town, we're going to have a twofold meditation. The first will be like this. Then we'll take a break. And after the break, there'll be nothing but silence. And one by one, if you want, we'll have a chair, you'll come up and I'll do Shaktipat to open you up to your spiritual nature, to become self-realized, to experience liberation. For just a moment, experience enlightenment. So it's something, you can bring your friends if you want. So anyway, that's what we're going to do next time. So that'll be fun. So, good. Do you have any questions? This is always the interesting time of the evening for me, because you can ask me a question about anything. Whatever's bothering you or troubling you or about the technique, it doesn't matter. Oh, okay. Okay, down. Down a little bit more. Forget when you're not thinking, you don't have questions. Okay. Okay, here. Think about your name. What's your name? Think about it. Okay, there you got it. Now, do you have any comments or questions? Yes.
Sometimes you share the story about this monk that was in a cave for many years.
Oh, yeah.
And came down the village and the dogs started barking at
Yeah.
him and he got mad.
Yeah.
Then he went back to the cave and kept meditating. Do we need to face physically blockers in order to overcome it, or can the practice help us overcome things that we wouldn't even experience? Like if you have a karma or something that you are never, does it even happen that life let you experience things that you have to, and you will never have things without, you know?
Yeah, it's a good question.
Forward in the physical.
So will there come a time when it'll all be cleared out? You have no problems whatsoever? Is that what you're saying?
Like that you have to face them in life. Like do you have a person in your life that will bring that up to you, or
it
it
happened.
never happened, but still you have it and the practice will just make it disappear?
Always remember that it's not what happens to you that's important, but how you react. Christ walked around for 3 years, and the Pharisees and Sadducees gave him no slack. No matter where he went, they were there trying to embarrass him, to trip him up, to discredit him. He never got rid of him. In fact, they ended up killing him. Or did they? Did they in any way impede his message? The answer is no. The only people that impeded Christ's message was his disciples. They're the ones that misinterpreted everything, but they're the ones that got it wrong. But Christ, pretty amazing. That's what happens though. So anyway, you will, as we use that, if you've watched the previous, the analogy of the monk coming out of the mountain and going down into the village, and he meets the dogs, they bother him. So he dissolves that. He starts, I love dogs. He goes down now, he loves the dogs. The dogs are fine, Then the kids come out, he has to deal with the kids. He comes up, dissolves the kids. He doesn't kill the dogs, he doesn't kill the kids. Get that? He's not doing anything to them. He's dissolving his own issues with them. When those issues are gone, then there's nothing but love and gentleness. There's not the aggression anymore. There's a seeing beyond what they're projecting, and you're seeing that, they're caught up in one of these realms of experience down here. They're caught up in a hell world, or they're caught up in the hungry ghost world, or they're switching between, being a human and going into hell in the 60th of a second. They're doing all of the, you can see where they're locked up. But you're not locked up there. So you observe it, but you're not in it. It doesn't affect you. Jack Kornfield said that Tibetan Tantric Buddhists pray for opposition after a while. They pray for something to come up against them, so they'll have something to work on. There's always something to work on. This village has a lot of things in it. Your life is full of things, and one by one you turn them all over to God, and you forgive everyone. And then, most important, you forgive yourself. We're all born into sin. We're born into the Maya. We're born into ignorance. We're born into a world that's ignorant and aggressive and passion, where these things work together and create pain bodies, and people react out of their pain bodies, and they just hurt themselves and they hurt others all the time because they are not enlightened. They have not touched on the divine love. They're stuck in this love that's conditional. I'll love you, I'll have you around me as long as you don't disagree with me, type thing. We have to move beyond that. The disciples came up and asked Christ, they said, why don't we just love our friends and not even worry about our enemies? And he said, anyone can do that. Anyone can do that. You have to do better. You have to love your enemies. I know you have pain. I know you've been betrayed. I know you have attachments that you're incredibly hanging on to. And I'm saying with all of those things, with your attachments, if you're attached to, I don't know, I'm attached to Puggy, my little dog. I love that little dog. But he's transitory. He will die. Am I going to live my life thinking about, he's going to die, or I'm going to take this moment that I have with him and say, wow, this is magic. And if I live every moment in magic with him, then when he does die, as all dogs do, I will experience the magic of their death. And I will experience the magic of their afterlife. It's all magic. It's all God. It's all love. Our fear, our sense of loss, our attachments keep us from feeling that. We're so worried about what people think that we live our life through their eyes, never seeing with our own. Self-discovery is finding out who you are. And who you are is very old. As old as the universe itself. And it's just beginning. So I don't know if I answered your question. Yeah. Any other questions or concerns? Yes.
Is there such thing as too much compassion?
Pardon?
Is there such thing as too much compassion?
Is there such a thing as too much compassion? No. That's the same as saying, is there such a thing as too much love? No. You can never have enough compassion. You can never have enough love. You should strive, though. You should strive to have too much compassion. You should really strive for it. You should strive to have too much love. It's not now. I know Americans, right? You know, okay, I'll do this meditation. I'll do it for 2 weeks. I'll be enlightened. Great. No, this could be a lifetime thing. But I'm suggesting that you go this path. This is the path of Dharma that will take you into enlightenment. And the more you can dissolve yourself and dissolve those inner turmoils and get rid of those demons and dragons that are inside of you that are tormenting you and hurting you into dark places, dissolving them. In enlightenment, there is no fear. What's there to be afraid of? If you understand divine love and you've touched it, and then you drop down into this world, you see that this is just a dream. It's a dream that has fear. It's a dream that has terror and suffering of all kinds. The wailing and gnashing of teeth. Sometimes it's 10 times hotter than the sun. You know, it's just, this is hell down here. Yes, it is. But if you have the right state of mind, it's heaven. You have a choice in your own being of living in a place like Darfur or Syria where there's just nothing but, it's a hell world. It is a hell world. Or living with these mothers that can't find their babies. It's a hell world. Or we can move ourselves into another part of the planet where things are a lot smoother. I have to put a healing balm on all suffering. I take the divine love, and when I see suffering in others, I put that divine love over it as a healing balm. It will, in its own way, express itself. It will resolve itself. And as I take that suffering, and as I take all of that grief, and I dissolve it inside myself, and I fill it with unconditional love, now I'm walking in the world, but I'm not part of it. The world does not affect me. They may imprison me or beat me up a little bit, kill the physical body. That can hurt me. You cannot be hurt, really. You're divine. So in your meditation, every night and every morning before you eat, you should always meditate at least an hour before you eat, or at least a couple hours after you eat, either way. And meditate starting out at 20 minutes, but work yourself up to 30. Where you're just sitting. And when a thought comes up, an experience comes up, you know, an ambulance goes by or something, you just grab it, put it up here, dissolve it, dissolve all of your feelings about it until it just is nothing. And then you touch that divine love, and you fill that space, and you go back to your meditation. see how far you can go. In the beginning, you may only be able to go a few seconds before you have another thought. It doesn't matter. You just keep dissolving them. Keep dissolving, filling everything with love. You can actually even put a mantra on that love thing. You can give the mantra of Shring. So you dissolve it. This has no mantra, by the way. There's nothing there. But you dissolve it, and then as you're filling it full of love, you Shring. Shring. Yes.
Can you describe, like, you know how you say we can start feeling this love by thinking about someone we love very deeply or something we love. How do you see the dissolving here? Like, is there a kind of vision of like what goes in the mind?
Okay. What for me? Okay, say I love my mother. She's passed away, but I love her dearly.
So dissolving.
So I think about her. And I think about the love I have for her and how selfless she was to me and what all she did for me and how she and my dad gave me this body. Wow, what a gift. So I'm just full of gratitude and love, and I'm honoring. And then I think about my teacher. And it's a little level above that because my teacher took me into enlightenment. Wow. And then, just when I think I can't feel any more love, I push even deeper into love. Into the divine. Into the divine. So, you start with outside, your mother and your teacher, which is a combination of outside and inside, all the way up to the top.
And
So
after that you take whatever bothers you and put it here.
Yeah.
And what happens here visually in your mind?
Nothing.
Like
You just put it there. What happens is you'll feel that energy. Okay, you've got a ball of energy. You're just really angry at somebody. You're really, really, really angry. And so you put them here. You hold them right here in this spot, halfway between the heart and the throat, right there. And you keep them there. And you do it with your will and your intention. Now, all you're keeping them there is how you perceive them to be or what their experience is to you, which could be pretty horrible. So you just hold them there until you will actually feel them. If you hold them there long enough, they'll just start to dissolve and go away. Like a sugar cube under hot water. It'll just start to go away. And then when it goes away, you take that love, as much as you can remember it being, and you fill this space that all of that anger and hurt occupied inside of you before. And then you stop and meditate. Stop your thought. After a while, you may even have 20 minutes where you don't do anything but stop your thought with no other things coming up. That's pretty cool. And there may be the next day, just when your ego is getting all happy about that, the next day you'll have 10,000 things come up and you're spending the whole meditation dissolving things. That's okay too. We're perfecting ourselves. This is the perfection of your being. This is how you perfect yourself. This is the redemption of your soul. This is getting rid of the shadow material inside of you so that there can only be light. And when there's only light, that's what you project. Now, when I meditate deeply, there's not anything here. But my root chakra will always pull me back down into my life. So, after we leave this evening, I still have to drive back to where I'm staying. Have to make my plans. Have to live a life. That's one thing that you have to do, is you have a life to be lived. And you need to live that life as cleanly and as happily and as purely as you can. Make yourself a blessing to everyone. At least give them a smile. Seek to be impeccable in whatever you do, whether it's your job or washing your car or practicing your martial arts or whatever you're doing, as impeccable a job as you can, because that's how we're expressing the divine in our life. We don't want to be sloppy. We don't want to use harsh language, because when we use harsh language, it's putting an energy out into the world that's not good. It causes people to react in a bad way. So we start watching our words. We start watching what we say. Don Miguel Ruiz says that everything that we say is a spell that we're casting. So we start watching what we say, because in this world down here, what we do affects others, and what they do affects us in a way. But if we are so full of divine light and we have dissolved all of those issues that made us fall prey to their machinations to get us to go into our pain body, if we've dissolved all of that in our meditation, then we have life to be lived in a more perfect and impeccable way. You'll find it's just easier to make your bed in the morning. You'll find it's easier to take care of yourself. You'll find yourself moving into maybe new social arrangements where you're around people who care, you know. Today we me and some of my students took a walk up in a park, and there was these people up there clearing out invasive species. They do it every weekend, and they have a little club, I guess, or something that they do, but they're doing something nice, selfless. There's people like that all over the place. We can focus on people like that and enter into that world, which would be like going to Fiji or something, or we can focus on gang members and drug dealers and murderers, which is what the TV wants us to look at, and then we can enter into, Syria or Darfur. We go, ugh. Where do you want to go? Whatever you focus on, you tend to become. Focus on the highest and the brightest. Do your best. Seek everything with love. Dissolve everything into spirit, because that is the true nature of your being. Accept that you will be enlightened. And that doesn't mean that people will appreciate you or come to you by the hundreds of thousands. They may not. But you do what you can. So give that a try. If you have any questions, you can email me. I'd love to get your emails. And if you need to talk to me, I'm available also for that. Just let me know. Namaste.